Donald Trump on April 23rd, quote, I contacted people that have worked for me in the past doing swimming pools, and one gave me a great price, a very great price on the reflecting pool project. Donald Trump, May 4th, I have some very good contractors. I asked 3 of them to do me a favor, fellas. Go look at the reflecting pool, and the best one gave me a great price. Donald Trump, May 12th, the reflecting pool contract went to a contractor I did not know. I've never used before. Nothing to do with me. It was a decision that was made by the Interior Department. I don't know who they are. That's interesting, because Donald Trump says that at the same time the New York Times did an expose that the Interior Department staffers raised questions about the quality and speed of the work being done to repair the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, according to a document seen by the New York Times. Let me show you how Caitlin Collins described it on CNN. Let's play it.
We'll be opening up the reflective pond. It's called the reflective pond. $350 million without cost overruns, and 4 years versus $3 million. And it'll be finished this week. It's going to be beautiful, beautiful color. I picked American flag. See the blue? I picked American flag. It was called American Flag Blue. So this is 1922 it was built, and it was broken for most of the time. The people that worked for me recommended it, and they recommend we do it this way. But I recommended it to them because I'm very good at construction.
That was President Trump tonight, arguing that his renovation of the Lincoln reflecting pool will cost $3 million. The public website that tracks government contracts actually lists the cost for the revamp at $13.1 million. Last week, we had heard the president say it would cost $1.8 million. So a lot of changing numbers here.
A lot of changing numbers right there. New York Times reports the Interior Department staff members have raised concerns about the quality and speed of repair work that a contractor is performing on the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool in Washington. The staff members said that bubbles and small holes had appeared in one of the layers meant to waterproof the iconic pool, and uneven applications of the tinted waterproofing left the pool mottled in a varying shade of blue, the documents indicate. The documents say both issues were being addressed, but they raised the possibility that work may not be finished by the deadline of May 22nd. The reflecting pool has been plagued for decades with problems with leaks and algae blooms. Last month, the Interior Department firm had hired Atlantic Industrial Coatings to repair, resurface, and paint the pool. Trump said publicly that he had recommended the firm because of the good work it did on these swimming pools at one of his golf clubs. However, now Donald Trump says, I didn't give out the contract. Interior did, to a contractor I did not know and have never used before. I want to bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Substack, and podcast, because this is waste, fraud, and abuse right here, or so it seems to me, in my opinion, Harry. And, you know, something like this excursion into reflecting pools, where you have before algae issues and cracking issues caused by the fact that DC's a swamp. Probably not a good idea to put a gigantic pool, a reflecting pool, in the middle of a swamp in the first place, because these issues that emerged. And the best move historically, and even though no one wanted to do it because it was such a landmark, is probably you just scrap the reflecting pool in general, because you're always going to have these problems. So Trump's plan to paint it bright blue and to use a pool contractor, he says, works on his Virginia course. Now he claims he doesn't know who they are, as things are not going to plan, apparently. But if you make it blue like that, it's going to attract more heat. It's going to cause more cracks. You know what will cause more cracks also? Trump driving over it with his motorcade as well, which you would not do where you have foundation issues too. And so what's going to clearly happen, and it's like, Harry, all of these things by Donald Trump, when we say they backfire in his face, if you just followed logic, science, whatever, you would know that where this is going. If it's bright blue, the algae is going to be more pronounced and gross. It's going to cause more cracking. It's going to exacerbate the problems. And so at what point, Harry, also, and this is what so many people say, and it's a real problem, that you and I have talked about, these issues over standing, which is, the public's like, we want to file class actions. We want to block this stuff. And yes, Harry, there is a group that has filed a lawsuit, one of these historic preservation groups, like the Historic Trust. There's a version of that for the reflecting pool. And it is made up of top lawyers, who are out there who filed a really good lawsuit. But Harry, I think there's so many people out there who are like, we should be entitled as the public to block this. Like, why don't we have standing? Why can't there be public? Why are all of these cases these like dances over is there standing or not? There has to be something in the law to stop and block, this stuff, because it all goes in this predictable path that leads to ruin. And you and I, in 6 months, will be doing this and we'll say, aha, look at the way it looks. And people go, oh, Ben and Harry called it. And it's like, yes, but if you just have a basic sense of the way algae forms, the reason for the cracks, that covering it with a light blue coat, is not solving the problem. And I just think there are so many people right now, Harry, who are like, I want a class action against them.
Ben, I don't have a basic sense of algae, but I knew this was happening because I have a basic sense of history. And the president of the United States is a flim-flam man going way back. You could just talk to all the people that he left high and dry in Atlantic City, the several bankruptcies. This is a guy who, among other things, wakes up lying and lies all day. We get kind of numb from them, but you wonder when to actually say, oh, can we just point out again, he's a total psychopathic liar and psychopathic. I'm no psychiatrist. He's a total liar. And what does that mean here? That he started those numbers and changed it. You can derive it. The same thing happening everywhere. It's not only that he lies about the numbers, he lies about knowing the people. So we're talking about work, actual work. Next is representation that is late, shoddy, and super expensive. This is the guy, by the way, who wanted to go after the head of the Fed for supposed cost overruns that don't even approach this. But we have this pattern, and I don't know why we would think it would be different. And Trump, shamelessly, brazenly, will come out and say, oh, it'll be a 1.3 million, and boom, it's already 10 times that amount. The work is already crappy. The color that he chose personally, because he knows construction is already exactly wrong. The delays are already built in. And that's a shameful story for the reflecting pool. But now take a step back and think about the arch, and take a step back and think about the ballroom and all the things he wants to do to leave DC as some kind of personal theme park to Donald Trump. There's all kinds of problems with it for starters, but we're a society that by now has been built by a flim-flam man repeatedly, and we just have to watch it happen again. Now, let me get to your point. Do we just have to? Is there standing? It's totally clear what ought to be happening here and in other places. Congress ought to be coming in and either saying yay or no and take the political heat for it. But that's one of in some ways, the kind of secret sauce of the whole Trump administration, that he so cowed Congress. In the absence of that, can people like the Historic Trust preservation? Look, we'll see. Standing hawks in the courts might shut them down. On the other hand, things are a little bit looser where it comes to these kinds of environmental damage that we can all sort of share. On the third hand, some members of the Supreme Court don't like that very much. But you're totally right. This is not something we should have to be solving with standing and lawsuits. This is something that Congress should be solving, but in the first place should not be happening. And how many times do we have to, have Lucy pull the football on us before we understand that when the president of the United States says these things, that things will be good and fast and cheap? That means they'll be crappy and slow and expensive. That's just the history track record. And I don't care if you know about algae or not, you could see this coming.
That's why we need, I think, in future Congresses,
Yeah.
laws to provide standing for people to bring cases like this. That if there is a DC project that goes around normal notice, you could craft this legislation pretty easily. I would say that any taxpayer has, get around the no general taxpayer standing, draft a cause of action, and, what's there to worry about? There's going to be a massive amount of people filing lawsuits against the executive branch for not following the Administrative Procedures Act and tearing. Good. That's what we want. I'd like there to be massive litigation to block these. Absolutely. I'm encouraging it.
And you might want more judges too. This is a longer conversation, Ben, and I hope we will have it. But as you know, and the Meidas Mighty, I'm sure know as well, if it's not, the Congress is limited in its powers to just declare standing, but it can, you're right, facilitate, maybe bring it on, but the U.S. Supreme Court may say, sorry, injury is injury. It gets to be a very complicated area. But yes, it would be very good, because all it means is a court would be able to actually do something about the different legal problems. But I just want to draw this line in the sand that, of course, this guy is coming into town and with talking big, with an unbelievable record of coming up short and leaving people disgruntled and wanting to sue him. That's the president of the United States. It's beyond parody, but it's our life.
Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube. It's called Talking Feds. So as soon as this video ends, search Talking Feds. Also subscribe to his Substack and podcast, also called Talking Feds. Thanks so much, Harry.
Thanks, Ben.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.